Live.
What is going on, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, it's been a minute, hadn't it?
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's my fault.
No, it's not your fault.
Yeah, you wanted to do one, and I was like, I don't want to do one.
Well,
I
okay,
pulled a
so
Carlson on you. Sorry.
yeah, it is your fault. It
Yeah,
is. Jeremy is napping. Those guys are impatient, man. We got some Bronco guys are ready to see our guests today. Look at
I
this.
know. I'm excited.
So, hey, I got to give a quick shout out real fast. Tanya Browning from the Maple. You actually, I should have had you bring up the website, but if you haven't heard, Tanya actually makes soap, and she's a friend of ours, great backpacker that likes to do a lot of these events. Well, she made a branded soap for me, and if you guys haven't seen it, Seeking Sasquatch, it's fantastic. Probably the best smelling soap. It's completely earth friendly. I think it's even like vegan soap. I didn't even know that could be a thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's definitely
So
vegan.
but anyways, so she's gonna have that stuff sold out like in no time. It was insane. In fact, it sold out like 3 times, 2 or 3 times. Well, she's gonna have more on her website, and we can bring it up at the end of the
Okay.
stream as well too.
Yeah, I
But
can't
she'll
find it
have
right
more
now.
coming up on the 13th, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
But and then you've got some news coming up too, right?
Yeah. I am actually going to be starting another channel because I don't have nearly enough.
I mean, if you're
But it's
working on a
unlike
dozen.
anything I've done before. It's going to be a gaming channel.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so a lot of people don't know that I'm kind of a big gamer.
I
And so
never knew that.
I'm going to be doing it with a partner, and that partner, his name is Leo, and he wanted to do this. So we're going to do Minecraft videos, and here's the premise of it. He's young, I'm old, and I don't know how to do any of it.
It's gonna be like The Odd Couple.
It's totally going to be like him talking me through it. And so we're going to do Minecraft, we're going to do some other stuff, but yeah, it's going to be a good time.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually intrigued now. Once you put it out like that, I'm actually intrigued.
Yeah. So I'm going to in the next few weeks we're going to test some stuff out and build it out. But it's going to be. He wanted to connect it to my audience. I'm like, I don't know that that's going to work.
Yeah.
Back outdoors and screens, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So
Nice. All right. Well, it looks like we've got Trail Hunter USA in the chat and Central Kentucky Broncos. Those two guys. Of course, you knew they'd jump in for this.
of course,
And then we got Gary. I'm wondering, not lost. Look like he's in the chat also. Which Gary, I'm hoping for a speedy recovery for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Good that things are going well. So you've definitely been in our prayers. So good.
Yeah, I'm glad your surgery went well.
Yes, sir. Well, there's a reason why a couple of bigwig Kentucky Bronco guys are interested in being on here tonight too. So we have got a really cool guest tonight. In fact, I said earlier before, he's kind of like the horse doctor. I mean, this guy is fixing some issues with Broncos to take them not up a level, but take them up like 5 levels. It's absolutely insane. So if you would please bring on Mr. Tyler from BroncBuster.
Boom.
Boom.
Hey guys, we're live from Sand Hollow. BroncBuster in the back, and we got top of the world right here. So what better can you get than to be in Sand Hollow at top of the world, right? Got my buddy Chris with me. So
hey, Chris.
Welcome, guys.
Yeah, welcome. So this is really cool, man. I got to tell you, it couldn't be more fitting for you to have BroncBuster in the back behind you there too. So that's kind of what has paved the way, right? Is that kind of what has been your project since day one?
Yeah, I guess you could call it my inspiration. Yeah, had no intentions of getting into this business. I really didn't. I mean, and I've loved off-roading my entire life, a construction business, and decided to get a Bronco, and got impatient and bought a Bronco off the lot that was BroncBuster while we waited for our other one. And then, it just kind of evolved from there.
Yeah, let's get into that actually. So before the Bronco came, what was life like with Tyler? I mean, what was your goals and aspirations, and just kind of what were you doing, and then
Tell
how
us
was your
your dreams,
relationship
Tyler.
off-road? Yeah.
Well, so I have a construction company in back in Texas.
Okay.
You know, doing excavation and septic systems and just a variety of things. I've been in construction my whole life. I mean, I grew up as a small kid working with my dad and running equipment, framing, building houses, you know, building subdivision, all that stuff. I mean, I've always had a knack for building things, and but I also always loved outdoors. So I mean, you know, it evolved from a get-go being one of the first ones, because you know the Broncos were started production somewhere June 18th or something of 21.
Yes.
Is that, you guys
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong, something
No,
like that
you're pretty close.
And this Bronco rolled off the assembly line on July the 2nd, so it was within the first couple of weeks of production. But like I said, it wasn't my order. It's just we got impatient. Well, I got impatient. My wife was not happy with me at the time because I found it on one of the forums, and I said, let's just go look at it. She says, I know you're not going to just go look at it. And I said, oh, come on, let's just go look at it. Well, we went to the dealership. I ended up buying it. And immediately, I mean, that first weekend, we were out off-roading, which at the time was kind of crazy because I think we were one of the very first to really go out and be pushing what the Bronco. Sorry, we got a side-by-side.
That's okay.
Decided to join us up here. So
no, that's awesome. That's totally fine.
Anyway, so we we ended up going out, you know, really pushing the limits. I mean, the first time out at Hidden Falls in Canyon Lake, Texas. Sorry, guys.
You don't worry about it. It's totally good. It makes it better. I promise.
That's awesome.
Okay, great. So the first time out at Canyon Lake, out at the off-road park, we got stuck. We got hung up on some real big ledges. Of course, BroncBuster started off as a stock non-Sasquatch Badlands, so 31 or 33s, whatever came on them, and 32 something, yeah, whatever it was. And it didn't take very long. I mean, halfway through the day, we ran into a group called the San Antonio 4x4 Club. Met a guy by the name of Val that run a shop called Two Fat Guys. And he was very fascinating. I mean, everybody, they said, well, this is the first Bronco. There at the park, they said, this is the first Bronco we've ever seen here. And then the San Antonio 4x4 group, they were like, wow, we got a Bronco. And they took me on trails that I probably shouldn't have gone on. But I was really pushing the limits, figuring out what the Bronco could do. And it didn't take very long going out with them every weekend that we ended up at an off-road event called Big Boys, Not 101, in Katemsi Rocks, Texas at the K2. They call it the Moab of Texas. And it's got, they do buggy lines. And I mean, they do some extreme rock crawling there. And I was on nothing more than 37s with an 1.5-inch puck and some makeshift wheel spacers that we took and adapted to fit because there was no products. Understand, nothing aftermarket at this point.
Right.
And they wanted to see if I could get up a buggy line called King of the Hill. And I'm not afraid of nothing, and probably a little stupid sometimes, whatever. And I said, let's do it. I got halfway up it and was getting hung up really bad. I mean, my my rear shock mounts were like the boat anchor, it's what I called them, hanging me up. My front end got a hopping, and of course, we all know what happens when the front end of the Bronco hops without any support, especially with pucks on the front and 37s. I not only broke I broke 2 tie rods, and I broke the steering rack all in one shot. After spending 4 hours getting it recovered out of there, because now we had dragging it backwards, and you know, we luckily somebody brought a U-Haul trailer, but we had to take this U-Haul trailer through rough terrain, really rough terrain, and we finally got it out of there. Going to the dealership said, hey guys, this isn't warranty, this is you call your insurance company, you got scrapes and scratches underneath there. And by the way, $4,500 to fix it. And I said, no way. I was a little frustrated at that point. In fact, I was a little mad at Ford for a minute there, right? I said, why would they make such an incredible off-road vehicle that can't handle anything with the steering?
Yep.
Well, I wouldn't pay him the money. I was being cheap, whatever you want to call it. I just couldn't see putting that same crap back in there. Well, it then evolved into, one of the YouTube channels I loved watching at the time because I was so excited about the Bronco was, I'd watch Lauren Healy at the Bronco, and then I saw one with him out with Light Bright. So I got following Light Bright a little bit. And out there, they did a lot out of Sand Hollow, right where I'm at, right? So this is kind of funny because the original story of BroncBuster brings me right back where we're at today. Because,
really cool.
We ended up saying with two fat guys, we're like, hey, do you think we could fit 40s under the Bronco? And, but keep in mind, at this point, our goal was to put this thing on 40s with a hydraulic steering rack. We thought we could do it, right? I ordered all the parts from PSC and we were going to figure out how to put a hydraulic steering rack, 40-inch tires. And then in that whole interim, I got kind of online with Kevin Williams of Light Bright, and I kind of challenged him a little bit. I said, yeah, we ought to get the BroncBuster up against the Stepchild. And he says, yeah, bring it. Let's go. And well, now it was on. I was like, yeah, he said, come. And so we scheduled it for Thanksgiving 2021. We were coming to Vegas anyways for family. I got a lot of family out this way. And now I'm on a clock, and we couldn't figure out how to get the computer happy, of course, without the steering rack. So then it was, we were cutting body. I mean, we literally cut fenders, cut body, cut, and stuffed 40-inch Mickey Thompson stickies, which look very similar to these, except for these are now 43s, right? But same exact tire. Yep. And but no solution yet on steering. The only thing we did was we played with some Heim joints, made some makeshift Heim joint, tie rods, because I couldn't, with those 40s, I couldn't even go 10 minutes without breaking them. So we come out here, and actually right before we got here, we were testing, and we kept breaking them, and even the Heim joints. Finally, I came up with a way to get enough articulation to make it work. The night before, I mean, it was 10 o'clock at night in Vegas at my brother-in-law's shop, fabricating up some stuff to come out here with Kevin and Brittany and I'm like, okay, I'm going to baby the steering rack. I'm going to have to just go easy, and I'm going to get through this thing, and then I'll figure out the steering. Well, one of the first obstacles all that force on the steering rack, and bam, broke again. Oof. Now, keep in mind, this is kind of the irony of the story is I had actually been contacted by a company out of Michigan that actually supplies aftermarket. Well, they supply a lot of stuff, even for all the OEM companies in steering. And they wanted my broken steering rack. In fact, they offered me $5,000 for it. I had a shipping label on it right before, ready to ship to them. And last minute, I said, I'm not going to do it. And at the time, I thought I was nuts. My wife thought I was nuts. But it allowed me to take the thing apart because they didn't want it touched. They wanted it unassembled. Assembled, not touched at all. And I turned it down. I said, no, I'm going to keep it. I tore it apart before coming out here. So I had an understanding a little bit what was going on with the rack, but I still didn't know why and how it was failing. And while out here, of course, if anybody watched that video with us out here with Light Bright, we broke the steering rack very early on. Mm-hmm. But I was able to get intermittent steering to kind of steer it back out off the trail.
Yes.
Because as I'd turn, it would kind of, engage again. Well, that night, we're leaving out of there. I'm feeling defeated. And Kevin and Brittany's like, hey, man, that was cool. And what it did was awesome. If you ever get it fixed, come back and let's do this again. Yeah. Well, that night, I'm defeated. We're driving back to Las Vegas about an hour and a half from here and going through the gorge there by St. George. And I just all of a sudden this idea came to my head. And it literally was like, I won't call it a vision, but it just all of a sudden popped in what was going on, why it was happening, and how I could fix it. And now I was on a mission. I wanted to fix it before heading back to Texas. And so the next day on Thanksgiving, nothing's open. I can't, getting anything to prototype something was impossible. Right. But I had this idea. Why don't I get a hold of hockey rinks were open in Vegas on Thanksgiving Day? And so I literally had my son drive across town to one of the hockey rinks, pick up a hockey puck that I sat there with my little nephews in their wood shop and carved up a version 1.0 of the bushing that I had in my head. We threw that in there, and that night we went and drove the Las Vegas Strip, just to kind of test it, right? And it worked. I mean, it engaged my steering. I had steering was good, and we videoed that of us driving down the Strip, threw that up on my TikTok, and overnight it blew up. I mean, it went to like 2 million views in a couple of days.
That's insane.
But meanwhile, that next day we took it out as a family. All my family, we went off-roading that next day after Thanksgiving. That was kind of a tradition. We'd go get Christmas trees, or we'd go out in the hills, we'd go off-roading. And I took it out for all day on dirt roads, on trails, beating it up, trying to figure out if it would hold up, and it did.
Wow.
That night I got back into town, and Walter from Counts Customs, he had been contacting me online, and he's like, "Hey, you want to go do a run with the Vegas group, a night run tonight?" And I said, "Yeah, let's do it." So went out with the Vegas group, and out of 15 Jeeps and one Bronco, this Bronco outperformed every Jeep there. And that's when I kind of really started getting the bug for, okay, there's something here with this platform.
Yes.
Meanwhile, so it's late at night. I messaged Kevin on Messenger. I'm all excited. I said, "Hey, buddy, I got it fixed. You guys want to still go out this weekend before I head home?" And he goes, "What do you mean you already got it fixed?" I said, "Yeah, I found the solution. I got it fixed. Do you want to do this again?" So we went out that weekend, or that Sunday, right here in Sand Hollow. Literally, you can see where the trail starts, which is called, oh gosh. Yeah, it'll come to me. Sorry, guys. It's been a long day. But we went and did the trail, and it's a level 8.
Okay.
It did every
That's
obstacle. And they were amazed. Everybody was amazed, and including myself. So I started throwing stuff up on the internet, telling everybody, on the forums that, hey, I've come up with a solution on the bushing. And everybody's like, "Well, you got to bring it to market then." And I'm like, "Well, yeah." At the time, I thought I'm going to just do this as a side job. I'm going to do this for fun. In fact, we started thinking maybe we'll do a charity and kind of donate the proceeds to that. Well, I very quickly found out it wasn't that easy. You can't really do a charity that way, number one. Number two, it was consuming every bit of my time in my life. And I told my wife, I said, I kind of want to explore this as a possible business and finding solutions for the Bronco. And there we went. I mean, it took off from there. The bushing was my first product. It wasn't until a month later when we were, there's a
parachuter.
Cool.
Yeah, parasail right behind us. Coming in.
Very cool.
Awesome. Anyway, so we're sitting there. My wife, I mean, bless her, she is the most supportive woman you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
Because we literally, my son at the time was 20, and he was doing great in the business. And I said, let's start working on, turning the construction business over to Levi, and let's explore this. Well, we hit the ground running, and of course, I came up it was the day after Christmas that I came up with the idea on the brace. That's a whole nother long story. I won't bore you all out with it tonight, but it just, again, popped into my head of how we could do the tie rods. We started working on manufacturing. We built a website. That was Christmas, and we launched the first product release and opened the website the middle of January, and then it's just been go ever since. And it evolved into, the reason why we called it BroncBuster was, I mean, when I first broke it, it kind of evolved into that name of this vehicle is what named my business, because I named it BroncBuster.
Yeah.
And when we decided let's start a business and do this, we decided, well, it's fitting to call it BroncBuster, because literally the platform was based around finding the weakest points of the Bronco, push it to failure, come up with solutions, and that's what I've done ever since. I mean, it's been a wild ride. I mean, we've had a lot of failures. We've had, some really ups and downs. And of course, I've rolled poor BroncBuster twice, pushing limits maybe further than I should. It's a 2.3 liter manual transmission. And, last time I did Pritchett Canyon at Bronco Safari, and my front drive unit was out, I pulled the CVs because I had chunks flying around in there. So we pulled the drive shaft, the front CVs, and I said, well, let's go do Pritchett Canyon. Now that was more out of I really wanted to do it because I'd already rolled it once on. Anyways, it evolved into a whole thing, but it taught us something. Well, number one, it taught me don't do something like Pritchett in 2-wheel drive. But we also learned some really good data from our new hardtop, which we're sporting on here. You know, when I rolled off of there and it held up as good as it did, it gave us some data points to work with, and it was kind of a great experience from there. It also gave me the opportunity to say, all right, we're going to do a complete reimagined BroncBuster 2.0. My buddy Eric over at Lone Star Ring and Pinion, we got talking, and he said, you know, since you have the body lift on there, we've already relocated the fuel cell to the back and got rid of the fuel tank under it. He goes, why don't we raise the shocks, you know, do a 14-inch rad flow and 4-link it? And I said, yeah, let's do it. So I'm working on the body, you know, my wife and I, and we did all the body work, all the paint, straightening, you know, every bit of it. I didn't hire none of that, which it's not perfect. But it was a fun learning experience, and it was a fun project. But then, you know, it kind of got lagged down because at the same time, I'm now introducing portals. We became the U.S. distributor for the Tybus portal axles. And we have all these portals coming in, and I'm having to learn a new process and go out and teach shops and, you know, put them on our vehicles. And, you know, all these things it overwhelmed us. And so I had to put on hold the finishing of BroncBuster until, you know, the last couple of months. We just pushed hard through, get it done, get all the 4-link done, get the 40, you know, and at the time I wasn't putting portals on it. I was like, you know what, we'll show the difference between having, you know, it's got a rear Dana 60.
Right.
It's got the front drive unit is the Ultimate 44. It's got the 32 spline CVs in the front. We already had 4-linked it at this point. And then I thought, you know, how badass would it be to put portals on there? And at the time we started putting portals, I'm like, holy cow, this looks way too, 40-inch tires just don't do it justice. We need 43s now. So
yeah. You got to go bigger. I mean, that's the thing.
Go home, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So when you were starting to produce these products, okay, like the brace and the plunger, so what was that like getting that up and running from a manufacturing standpoint? Because you produce pretty much everything in house, right? I mean, is that pretty much? So
Austin Bracken with Bracken Machine, and there's a whole story behind that. I didn't know him prior to me leaving. I had a product. I had it somewhat in production down in San Antonio, but it wasn't working properly because where we had it designed, it was kind of like a bump stop on the steering. We were losing about 20 degrees of the steering angle. I was kind of in a panic because I'd already kind of set a date for myself, and I always try and hit that date of when I wanted to release the product. Yeah. I'm on my way up to, you know, for Christmas, we were heading up to Montana, and I called my buddy Talon in Preston, Idaho, that I'd known for years, and I said, hey, number one, I'm gonna stop by and say hi to you, but do you know a good machinist? And he said, yeah, in fact, I do. And he introduced me to Austin Bracken. Now, there's a lot of machinists across the country. There really are, but there's very few I won't say very few, but it's hard to find somebody that has a mind for the kind of things to get things happening and working. And to come to find out, Austin has won the Edison Award, if you guys are familiar with that. Elon Musk won it one year. You know, it's a pretty prestigious award.
Okay.
And he's got inventions of his own that are quite successful out there in products. And he's got, you know, he's been involved in other people's products being out there, like on the Shark Tank and stuff. So many things he's helped bring to market. So I guess it to me, it feels almost like, I don't know, destiny, or it was meant to be, because so many things fell into place in such a short amount of time. I kept saying, I'm supposed to be doing this. This is where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be doing. And you know, as hard as it is, it has been one of the most fulfilling things we've done, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, that I want to get a couple of comments in here. So it looks like, well, one of them, Ambo House, wish Mickey still made Baja belted, great tread pattern. I don't even know what that is. I've never even heard of those.
They're not belted. They probably do a belted tire. Let's see. I think they do. Yeah, they do a 43-inch non-sticky, which is belted. This is a full belted or an unbelted, so it's a complete sticky. These are not DOT. In fact, I found driving them too much on the road, you start to lose chunks of the tires. So I got to keep it off the highway. I've got a set of 40s I'll throw back on there if I'm going to do a lot of highway driving. But right now, I'm primarily using this as our test rig off road.
Yeah, and then it looks like Trail Hunter USA made a total fib. We are here to see you, Jeremy. Are you kidding? Yeah, I know that's a lie. So he's a big fan of yours. So is John Carson, who's in here, and Central Kentucky Broncos. So
well,
two
we
really,
love
really
all
good
you
guys. Yeah, yeah, and John has a lot of your products. I know on his beautiful red Wild Track. So he's got a good looking rig there too, as well as Eric.
Awesome.
So, but let's talk about your rig that you got in the background. Can you kind of do a little walk around with us? So I'm actually kind of.
If you can see here, you know, one of the ways we were able to make this all work is by redoing the whole mount with the 3-inch body lift that allowed us to extend that up.
Mm-hmm.
We had to reconfigure all the shock mounts. In fact, I've redone it twice just in getting the right amount of up travel and down travel. 4-linked it. I'm gonna try and get underneath here and let you guys see. Let's see.
That's awesome.
You know, 4-linking is all about triangulation. So you've got, you know, your bottom links and then your upper links all triangulate to the center point, and that's what keeps the axle centered. But having it triangulated like that allows for a lot of up travel and down travel. You know, we have limiting straps, of course, to limit how much down travel, and then figuring out the up travel. When I first went out to King of the Hammers a couple weeks ago, I had about only just a very little bit of up travel. So I came back home, redid all the mounts, relocated everything. And then now today is my first day out testing it with the new, you know, because the more up travel helps with, you know, going fast, of course, so you're not constantly hitting your bump stop. But also up travel allows that. I've got plenty of room to stuff that tire up in there. But the biggest thing to kind of point out is, you know, the limitations on an IFS is the front end. Right. You only have so much that CV axle can flex before you're going to, you know, damage something, break something. And so we're all familiar with the Bronco wave, you know, one of the tires lifting or getting off camber and getting in a bad situation. And, you know, the whole goal was with this design was, can we create something in the rear that completely compensates for the front? And I believe we have. I mean, we were out at King of the Hammers doing a lot of the trails that they were racing on with a bunch of Jeep guys, 40s, 43s. And, you know, they did everything we were able to do with BroncBuster, but it took them longer to do it. I had a lot more clearance. I never had a tire lift. So, and having, of course, I mean, Sticky's kind of cheating in a way because that compound just really grips and grabs. It was a lot of fun going out and doing Chocolate Thunder because 2 years ago when BroncBuster was out there still on almost all stock components with 40-inch tires and, you know, just my bushing and braces, and that was it because we hadn't developed anything else yet. I almost rolled it on Chocolate Thunder and couldn't even come close to getting up it. And as I'm sitting out there doing Chocolate Thunder that night with 5,000 people up there yelling and screaming, and, you know, of course they're all not all of them, but a lot of them are.
A lot of them are.
Broncos, get them out of here. I'm the only Bronco, right?
Yeah.
And the cool thing was there was a lot of the Ford executives, I guess, out watching that night.
Oh,
and
wow.
So word got back to me that they were really impressed with what.
Oh, froze up. Did we lose him? He'll come back. He'll come back. 82nd. Oh man.
Wow.
Oh man. So
there he is.
There he is.
You're back.
Yeah, you froze up.
And now we can't hear you.
You're
muted.
Muted.
You're muted. Okay, there you go. Now say something.
No. I say he might have to leave and come back in.
You might have to leave, and I'll bring you in, and we'll bring you back in.
Yep, if he can hear us. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that is quite the rig.
So much.
Yeah, I mean, and you don't think about how much work that goes into and trial and error. I mean, that's insane.
I want to ask him about the patents, if he's patented any of this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But that process is not fun.
Oh, I'm sure not. I mean, especially, I mean, provisional patents you can usually get right away, but those are good for a year.
Yeah,
Oh,
there he is.
oh,
Sorry, somebody called me, and every time they call me, I lose my audio, and I have to exit out and enter back in. So
that's all
sorry
right.
about that.
No worries. No worries. So, okay. So you said Ford
I don't remember where I
executives,
left off.
Ford executives were watching and word got back.
Yeah, it was kind of fun because I got back and was talking to Bronco Nation. I was talking with Jordan over there, and he's like, "Yeah, a bunch of the guys from Ford, because there was Mike Levin, and a few other. One of the guys, I actually got to meet one of the designers, the guy that led the team for the design of the Bronco out there that week, and he took all kinds of pictures and walked the Bronco another day, and so it was kind of cool. It was cool to see what Ford's opinion, what they thought of it, and to be able to show the capabilities, because they're already come as an incredibly capable vehicle straight out of the box.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my goal from day one, and I don't know, I hate that. Yeah, Broncos are great for fast off-road, but they're not going to ever compete with the Jeep when it comes to rock crawling. Well, BS, and I've proved that wrong. And, I think IFS is the future, but it takes work, it takes time, it takes money, and it takes failure, and it takes a lot of just trying again and trying again and trying again. And that's what we're going to continue to do. And we're not done yet. I mean, it's going to be constantly coming up with better ways, new ways to do things, for sure.
Yeah, well, you've done a great job. I mean, and that's the thing too. And you know what's funny is, there can be a lot of banter back and forth between Bronco guys and Jeep guys, but the one thing I've noticed, there's a little more animosity between Bronco and Jeep in the off-road parks versus the off-roading world. Like if I'm traveling through backcountry of Colorado, everybody's cool and checking out everybody's rigs, and you make some. I think I was coming down Black Bear Pass and I was using my trail turn assist on the second really, really sharp. It's like I think it was like a 5-point turn, trying to get a lot of the Jeeps trying to get around it.
Yeah.
And I almost made it in one with the trail turn assist. And they start hollering back, "That's cheating. That's cheating." They were having fun. But they were like, "That's really cool." But I mean, but if you think about the Broncos' capability, it takes a guy like me who's completely novice. I mean, that can do trails like that with not much experience. Now you got to have common sense, obviously, but for the most part, the rigs are far more capable than what someone like me just getting into the off-road world is. So there's got to be some type of ground. Then you take some kind of knowledge with what you have and what you're doing. It's taking it to a whole other level. What's his comment? I get more Jeeps waving at me than Bronco peeps here in Kentucky. I agree with you, John.
Yes. I agree, and that's unfortunate. I hate to say this. I will say it. Even though I put on my side of my Bronco there, the Jeep Eater, it's only for good fun and kind of playing with the Jeep guys.
Sure.
Because honestly, some of the time, my favorite people to go wheeling with are the Jeep guys.
100%.
Not always. I mean, there are so many great people in the Bronco community, but there can be some kind of stuck-up snobs too. And off-roading is about getting out and being part of a community, and hopefully more of the people with Broncos will kind of catch on to that and understand that, because that's what it's about. It's not about Jeep or Bronco or Toyota. It's let's all get out, let's be part of a community and get to know each other, have some fun. I mean, I'll be the first to sit there and tease and have a little banter back
absolutely
and forth. So let's have some fun doing it. But it's that's what it's about, is having fun.
So you're okay with 4Runner guys then, right?
Oh my gosh, no, he's not.
Absolutely.
He's not.
Okay, good.
So I will tell you though, the gentleman that just made that comment, John Carson, he's doing a fantastic job uniting a lot of Bronco peoples in his club, that Central Kentucky Broncos. I will be first to give them a huge shout out and what he's doing and growing the awareness and having gatherings, having off-road events. He is one great guy, and he's not doing it for a price. I mean, this is a dude that's doing it to make a community. He's not doing it to make money off of us. So good for him, and love what he's doing.
That's such a big part of the community and growing the community and helping to educate. I mean, it's not just about getting together, but it's also how to use your Bronco, how to safely do it, how to stay in a group and not get separated and things happen, how to do recovery safely. Recovery done wrong, people die. The guys that are leading these groups are definitely to be commended for what they do, because it is a big part of what makes this successful. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, don't be like me and get it stuck on a big rock with paper plates on the back. That's not the best way to learn. So, but, oh man. So that armadillo top, I'd like to talk about that a little bit because that product really has me interested. That's a pretty fresh design, right? I mean, that's hot off the press. Can you talk about that?
This was the first final like pre-production of 3 right now. So we've got 2 more out here right now that we'll be showing off all week. So Portal just showed up. I saw it for the first time an hour ago, right before getting on with you guys. And we did a rhino lining on that one just to kind of see the difference, which I kind of did light myself because I wanted to do a kind of a little bit of a retro. From the first time I got BroncBuster, I wanted to do that retro hockey. You know, I love the retro look. And so I wanted it to look like the most badass yet retro looking Bronco, the Heritage. Yeah. So that's the only reason why I custom painted this one. We're not going to have that in production. But I met these guys almost 2 years ago at SEMA, and they had won some awards, kind of some of the SEMA startup. There, a couple of young guys do it. They had designed a really cool new design for a truck cap that they filed patent for that has a roll-up design. Anyways, it was a cool design, but I said, hey, guys, have you thought about the Bronco? Because, you know, we're sitting there talking and meeting, and I have my Bronco there, and we're doing scans on it for other stuff. And I said, you realize that the biggest flop on the Bronco is the hardtop. You know, it just, it is. It's Ford has had nothing but problems. It's held up production. It's
100%.
You know, they're going to be failing. And I think what you guys are doing is awesome, but let's do something for the Bronco. And they've nailed it. I mean, it is not only strong, but it also is very, very quiet. It allows for, I think what's going to be most exciting is for the overlanders. You know, there's just on the side here, those bolt points are actually rib nuts. So we're going to have mounting locations there. On the back, I've got rib nuts all over this back door, all the way around. On the top, there's 24 mounting points, rib nuts. So anything you can think of, and you know, accessories is next. We'll come up with all kinds of different accessories, or let other people accessorize how they want. That's the beauty of it, is this is the most customizable to be able to make how you want it and what you want. And you know, a fiberglass hardtop, I think it's like 300 and something pounds is the maximum weight before you start overloading those. And this allows you to pretty much put however much weight you feel like you want. I'd say don't go crazy because you're going to become top heavy, but you can put a tent on there. You can put 2 big adults up in there. You can put a lot of gear for overlanding without worrying about it hurting anything. So it's strong, it's tough, and it's customizable. And that's really what excited me about it. It's as far as I know, the first hardtop for a vehicle made out of metal that I've ever seen. So it's being part of this with them has been great. It's not come without problems. You know, we were supposed to have fourth quarter of 23, you know, start shipping product, but we ran into problems. We had to redesign. You know, it wasn't one of those things we wanted to rush it out and say, well, we'll figure it out as we go.
Like,
you know,
Ford.
This is too important of a thing to get right, and so we pulled it back. You know, I ran into some problems on this one. You know, with some of the way that the design and the way it's sealed just wasn't quite right. So the other two, I mean, we've got it fixed now, and just going to keep this one on. We changed out some latches. You know, just minor things, little tweaks. But the 2 that we have on Portal, I'm going to be, you know, testing it all weekend, running it through the car wash. You know, car wash has a lot of water pressure. That's the best way to test. And as long as everything's good, then we're going to start full production here in the next couple of weeks. But again, it's not been an easy thing. You know, Sam and Fabian and John and, you know, all those guys over there at TX Fabco and Armadillo have been working feverishly. Now, I've put every bit of amount of time I can in between. I've made a lot of trips over to Houston, which is about a 3.5 hour drive each way for me, and put in and been kind of the testing and marketing side of it. But I will say, if you guys ever get a chance to meet Sam, he's very quiet and soft spoken, but a very smart young man. And so I'm just honored that I was able to be a part of it with them, for sure.
Well, I think you guys did nail it, because that was the first thing I thought of when I first seen the armadillo top was overlanding. It's like when I go out, I'm a pretty big minimalist. I don't like to take a lot of extra stuff. I mean, that's the way I backpack too. You know, it's like I only take my necessities and that's it. So, but the one thing I was always looking for is where can I stash a battery? Where can I stash a can or any of this stuff? And unfortunately, I don't like any of the mounting choices for stashing maybe a 3-gallon roto pack on a Bronco. You know, I don't like having to worry about knocking out a taillight if I open up my swing gate too far, or strapping them to a tire. That just, to me, I'm nothing against anybody that does that stuff. That's just not the way I like doing things.
Right.
So when I looked at the sides of those, the flaps on that back quarter, I'm like, that would be a great place to mount a can. Or if I wanted to put solar on the top, I mean, maybe Molly panels or whatever.
Yeah, Molly panels on the inside, or outside, but we'll also have Molly panels on the inside.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
that's perfect. Yeah. I mean, it reminds me of, like some of the Jeep Gladiators that have the smart caps, that have the little windows that open up, and you can put an entire, solar charger and battery system just in those little wings. And I'm like, that'd be perfect. Or maybe that's where you have your water, that's easy to just open up and stash out. It's like, there's a million things that you could do with that, just like you said, to customize it. And to me, that was a winner. So yeah, the only question is, does it come in black?
Because we also released, this is what the pricing is going to be, and we started doing pre-sales, so that it honestly, it's a big project, and it's not like they've got deep pockets or I've got deep pockets.
Sure.
But at the same, trying to keep that price at a point that's affordable and in line with the fiberglass is hard. I mean, it's a lot more durable, and there's a lot more moving pieces. There's a lot of fabrication, a lot of welding, a lot of components, and they've done a great job to get it there, and a lot of that's going to be in fixtures and mass production, and to be able to keep that price point, and hopefully down the line even lower it a little bit. It's not going to lower a lot, because unfortunately we all know that with the economy things are
100%.
Going up, not down, but it's the goal. I mean, in everything we do, it's all about the more numbers we can get, the better price. Now, with that, I mean, and I am going to have to go in just a minute. I'm sorry, but
no, you're good.
Catch up and get stuff ready for tomorrow. But I wanted to say one other exciting news to kind of announce is I had an idea a few weeks back after Matt's Off-Road Recovery had used one of my braces for recovery out here. We got just inundated with calls and emails and texts and and messages online about needing it for other vehicles. And I started down that road, about when that happened, I think it was like 6 or 8 weeks ago, and started, ordering tie rods for all these vehicles, for hundreds of different vehicles. And, Toyota has some tie rods that are for 5 different vehicles over a 15-year period of time. So that made it easy. There's a lot of that, but I pretty much collected any tie rod I think is off-road needed. And then it was like, to go and create a different brace for each one is going to be very difficult. And so I kind of challenged myself with coming up with a design that would be a universal. Wow. That not only would keep be able to go on any vehicle, but also be able to recover any vehicle. So last week, we were able to accomplish that. I'll get some pictures out on the internet here pretty soon, but even though it's covered under my first patent, we're actually I've already filed. I've got a non-provisional on the new design, but I've come up with a design now that we've already tested. We tested in Moab. I've tested with pull apart. It for sure will fit almost every tie rod on the market, other than a very small few. And as a recovery, I've been able to with so far, and basically it has inserts that go in it that'll come with the kit. So not only will it be something to prevent, but almost every off-roader will want to have one in their recovery kit, because if somebody breaks a tie rod in their group, that ruins everybody's trip.
100%.
And it'll be a kit that will be able to go to everybody, be used on all vehicles. I mean, Jeeps are completely different, but if it's a solid axle, we're talking something else. Right. But there's a lot of IFS vehicles out there that break tie rods and need it. And we've got that almost done. Hopefully have it out in the next few weeks. And but what I was going to say is, in testing, I was able to put 2,000 pounds of pressure pulling, cut the tie rod, put the brace on it, and pull it with 2,000 pounds of pressure, and it'll still hold together. My goal is to get that to 3,000 pounds of pressure, because with testing with 43s and doing extreme trails, I did about 8 miles in Moab on Metal Masher, and I did before it came apart. And so I want to get it a little bit past that, but that's the most extreme. I mean, most people aren't going to run
Right.
43s on a broken tie rod, but I want to have something that is easy to bolt on, can just like that, put a tie rod back together, and they can go the rest of the day, or at least get it off the trail. So that's my newest announcement, I guess.
Very cool.
That's awesome. Well, Tyler, thanks for jumping on here. We're going to put you in the back. We know you got to get going. So, but if you hold on for 2 minutes, we'll get back with you while we close this thing down. So,
okay.
But it was an absolute pleasure having you on here. And thanks for talking to us. I know you got a lot of fans out there that are really hyped up about your products and actually owe you a lot of gratitude for what you're doing for the Bronco community. So it's top notch stuff.
I thank all of you guys, because without the support, I couldn't do it. So thank you guys.
Chris, it was fun watching you ride up with him to the top of the edge of the world in like 3.5 minutes. I mean, I think he was in Baja mode for you Bronco guys.
I was in Baja mode. Yeah.
So, all right, we'll be right back with you.
All right.
Okay.
Man,
wow.
That dude is
so much information.
He has got so much energy. I mean, and he's doing.
Yeah, he does beat you. I'm sorry.
I told you. Like I can cut wood. He rebuilds Broncos. I mean, it's insane.
You need to up your game, man.
That's right. Well, I tell you what, thanks everybody. We're going to get this thing closed down. I think Campfire Cat Holes, you guys got another live stream coming on next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday on the 6th. It'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna no guest, but we got a lot of things to talk about. I might Brian's getting ready to head off to the AT at the end of March. So him and Hoot. So we're going to talk about that.
Oh man. Well, good luck to him. I know I was wanting to do some of the Smokies with him. So I don't know if that's going to work out, but we'll see. But other than that, until next time, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yep. Beep, 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 beep.